Hello and welcome to Get Real Football Experts, another schedule rundown edition today. I'm Dave Kress, and today I will be wrapping up the NFC East and going over the Dallas Cowboys schedule, America's team, as some may say. So here we go, let's jump into it. Week 1, they play the Cowboys, they play the Giants, my mistake. I don't know why I said that, but I think this one's going to be a pretty good game. I don't know if you remember last year, but the Giants and the Cowboys played on Wednesday night because of that presidential speech that was on Thursday. It was the first game of the year because it was following the Giants Super Bowl win. And the Cowboys pretty much just came in there and took the win. I mean, it was close for the first half, but then it was a pretty good game. It wasn't a blowout, but it was definitely a Cowboys game. There was a fumble by David Wilson. Murray had a few nice runs, and Cowboys took that win, and I think they can do it again this year on Sunday Night Football. The Giants-Cowboys have a great rivalry, always had, and it's going to continue again this year. And today, in Week 1, the Giants seem to always start out a little slow, and I think they will Week 1, and let's give the Cowboys a win right here, making them 1-0. Moving on to Week 2 at the Chiefs. This one's going to be a good game. I kind of like the Chiefs a little bit more this year than last year, even though there's nowhere up to go from up than last year. They were the worst team in the league, going 2-14. But I do like the Chiefs this year. They have Jamal Charles, who's a great running back, one of the best in the league, probably around 4th or 5th, maybe even 3rd, I don't know. But it's debatable all around there. And they have good receiver in Dwayne Bowe. He's always productive. He's not the best receiver. He's no A.J. Green, Calvin Johnson, but he's definitely a good receiver. Dwayne Bowe, I'm going to look him up real quick and see how he did. He's been doing the past few years, but I like Bowe. I think he's going to do better with Alex Smith as his QB, but I don't think he's going to be. I think he's not going to be he's going to be kind of productive. Last year, he kind of had an off year. He had 801 yards on 59 receptions, but the 2 years previous before those two, he had some more receptions, and he broke 1,100 yards both of those years. And in 2010, wow, I didn't even know this. He had 15 touchdowns. 2011, 5, and then he went down to 3 last year. But he did battle some injuries last year, but still, he should have a better year last year, probably. And I could see him having a 1,000-yard season, just like he did. He's had 3,000-yard years. Pretty much had one in his rookie year in 2007. Missed it by 5 yards. So he's always been a good receiver, except for last year and 2009 when he also fought injuries and only managed to put up 600 yards. So I like Bowe as a receiver, but I also like their defense. I mean, I mentioned Alex Smith. He's going to be more productive than Castle, but he's not the best QB in the league, clearly. But their defense is good. I like the Chiefs' D. They have a good secondary. They always have. They have Tom Ali, a good outside linebacker / defensive end, whatever you're running. But I can't see the Chiefs beating the Cowboys here. I don't know who the Chiefs play Week 1, but I can see them winning it. And I just don't know how the Chiefs could find a way to beat the Cowboys here. So I'm going to give it the win here to the Cowboys, making them 2-0 after the Week 2. Coming up on Week 3, the Rams. I think this is going to be a loss. I think the Rams are an underrated team. I mean, their record kind of speaks for it, but they were the 16th. They had the 16th overall pick in the draft, and so that's not that bad. It's actually exactly halfway, so 500. And they really haven't been able to put it up. But Sam Bradford, he's a good QB. I don't know if he's a starter. He's a low-end starter. I'm not a big fan of Bradford myself, but I think with the right receivers like he has, Tavon Austin, and he's the rookie receiver, and they have some nice young, quick guys to go along with it. I think Bradford can be all right. He had 3,702 passing yards last year, his best year yet, and 21 touchdowns. So he's had his best year last year, and I think he can be on the rise even more and have a better year next year, even than he had last year. He threw 21 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, but I can see him going 25 touchdowns, maybe like 15 interceptions or something like that, around that same range. So I'm not a big. I kind of like Bradford. I think he's an all right QB. I think he hasn't proven himself yet, but he still has time. And I think he still has the potential to prove himself. I'm going to give that win to the Rams. The Rams were shockingly undefeated in their division last year. They went 5-0-1, tied the 49ers, which actually they should have won. It was a tough game, but it was clearly, it looked like the Rams should have won that one. And then they beat the 49ers in that other game. They swept the Cardinals and they swept the Seahawks, so that's pretty impressive. That shows a lot that Bradford can win those big division games. So week 4 they play in San Diego. I think this could be another win for the Cowboys here, making them 3-1 here. I mean, they have a good receiving core with Des Bryant and Miles Austin, also Jason Witten they have. So I think that they will be able to have a good passing game in this one. I don't think that the Chargers will be able to stop them here. And even DeMarco Murray, it's not like, I like Murray. He had a breakout year a few years back in that one game. I think he rushed for like 256 yards or something. But I think he still has a lot of potential. And that's why it's going to be, if he can just stay healthy, because he's pretty injury prone. So it just depends what Murray can do. I mean, he can catch some. He's not the biggest receiving running back in the league like Darren Sproles, but he can definitely catch a little bit out of the backfield. So that's also another threat for the Chargers to face. They got a middle linebacker in Matt Taiteo, so that will help out their linebacking core. They also got Dwight Freeney, the veteran defensive end who formerly played for the Colts. He didn't re-sign there, so now he'll be playing in the AFC East, going up against his old quarterback Peyton Manning. He was on NFL Network a few weeks ago. I remember him talking about if he was his first time ever getting to hit Peyton, so it's pretty interesting. But so I just don't think. I mean, that's gonna help out their D. But Ryan Matthews has just been a huge bust. I don't think he'll put up good numbers this year, like he really hasn't the other past few years. So I think the Cowboys defense shouldn't really have a lot of trouble trying to stop him. So I just don't think the Chargers can pull this one out. So I'll give it to the Cowboys, making them 3-1. Moving on to week 5, talking about the Broncos. Here they play the Cowboys here. I don't think that the Cowboys can beat the Broncos here. I just think they're too dynamic with their receiving core now. Getting Wes Welker to go alongside Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker. They drafted Monty Ball, the running back out of Wisconsin, who he looks like he could be a good running back here. He can catch balls. He can do pretty. I like Ball. I think now that they cut McGahee, that's the green light for Ball. So I'm gonna give it the Broncos here for week 5, making the Cowboys 3-2. Going on to week 6 versus the Redskins on Sunday Night Football. Cowboys Redskins. RG3 looks like he's going to be ready for the season, so I think that one's going to be an interesting game to watch. I'm going to look forward to seeing it, and I'm going to give it here to the Redskins. I think that RG3 he's got the potential to be the best quarterback in the East. He's definitely the best mobile quarterback in the East, and he's the most dangerous. He's the most explosive. Even though Romo and Manning have their arms and their deep balls, I don't think that they could I just think the Cowboys will have a hard time stopping RG3's speed. Also, the option with Alfred Morris, who had 1,600 yards last year rushing. He's not going to have that year again, obviously, because that's just really hard to beat. But maybe 1,300, 1,200. Another 1,000-yard year for Morris. I like Morris fantasy-wise. He's the number 1 guy low end, but definitely like Morris. So I think that's going to be interesting to watch. But like I said, I'm going to give it to the Redskins here on Sunday night, making the Cowboys 3-3, dropping 2 in a row there. And the losses continue. Week 7 at the Eagles. I don't know. This is going to be a good game, but I just think that the Eagles can beat them here. I mean, Romo. These games are always tight, and Romo, I just don't think he's the most very clutch quarterback. If Vic starts, because there's a whole QB controversy, who's going to start going on right now, and debatable, and I think it might be Foles, but it should be Vic in my opinion. He really hasn't done much since 2010 when he brought him to the playoffs, but he's gonna get hurt. That's the thing. I mean, now it's a good thing that the Eagles do have these 4 quarterbacks in Matt Barkley, Nick Foles, Dennis Dixon, who's probably got the biggest shot at missing it, and Mike Vick. Because Vic's gonna get hurt if he starts. You're gonna need Foles, Barkley, or Dixon to come in. But it seems like they're not gonna keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. And they're not going to cut Nick Foles. They drafted him last year. If they didn't want him on the roster, they would have traded him because there were definitely talk for him. There's no way they're just going to let him go without getting anything for him. So that's not a starter it's not a lock for the starter, but he's a lock on the roster. Matt Barkley, it just seemed pointless if they cut him here. They drafted him in the 4th round. Why waste a draft pick on a quarterback if you're not even going to let him go through play on your roster for at least 1 game? So I think that pretty much locks in Matt Barkley. And then if Vic doesn't start, I think that they should cut him. He's getting paid, I think, $2 million this year, and that's just way too much for a backup QB to be making. So I could definitely see them cutting Vic if anyone else starts. That's why I think Vic has his back against the wall, because one of the 3 guys starts, then I think they should cut him and keep the other 3 guys on their roster. So I do like the Eagles receivers though as well. I mean, Deshaun Jackson, he's explosive, he's fast, he can return, which is another upside for him. So I'm gonna give it here to the Eagles, making the Cowboys 3-4 at the Lions week 8. I'm gonna give the Lions this win, or no, the Cowboys this one. If they can just limit, because no one's gonna limit Kelvin Johnson. They really don't have much. I mean, Reggie Bush is going to be an interesting factor to watch next year for the Lions. Matt Stafford, he's got that big arm, but basically all it goes to is to Calvin Johnson. So their defense is alright. They drafted Ziggy Ansah 4th or 5th overall in the draft, but he's kind of raw. We don't know how he'll turn out. He's kind of hit or miss in my opinion. Actually, or it might take a few years for him to get going. So I don't know if he's going to have as much of an immediate impact as other players like J.J. Watt did, or Von Miller when he came in, or Alden Smith, all them. So I like Ansah a lot, but I think he's too raw to just come in and have an immediate impact, like Luke Kuechly or someone like that. All the people I've mentioned. So I'll give the win to the Cowboys, making them 4-4. Moving on, week 9, the Vikings. Another good game. I just don't think that Christian Ponder is going to be able to beat Tony Romo here, even though Adrian Peterson. But I'm pretty happy. I'm a alright fan of the Cowboys defense. I mean, it's pretty decent. They have DeMarcus Ware and Anthony Spencer, 2 good pass rushers who are going to help them out tremendously. So they can limit like I said about Peterson and Calvin Johnson. You're never going to stop them. Peterson's going to rush for about, at the least, his probably worst game is going to be 80 yards. So he's going to be a 100-yard rusher pretty much every game. He'll post another 1,500 yards or something like that this year, because Adrian Peterson is the best player in the NFL, according to the players at least, on NFL's top 100, and Calvin was the 3rd, so Peyton was 2nd, and Jimmy Graham missed the list, so that's not very reliable. But you get my point. So then, so I said I'd give that win to the Cowboys for that one. Week 10, they're at the Saints in New England on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to give another one to the Cowboys. I think Romo is a pretty good quarterback, like I've been saying. I think he has definitely potential to make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, he's kind of that guy. You don't need to be the Aaron Rodgers of the NFL to win the Super Bowl. We saw that with Eli Manning, even though he's a little bit better than Flacco, who we saw last year. That's why my Super Bowl prediction is the Texans. They make the perfect team this year. Matt Schaub, he's not the best QB, but he can definitely get the job done with Arian Foster and that defense of theirs. Ooh, that's pretty scary. So Andre Johnson, an elite receiver, a veteran. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins, another young receiver, and Owen Daniels, a good tight end. So I don't see why that team isn't being considered as much as a Super Bowl team. That's why I like them this year to win it all. So where was I on week 10 at the Saints? I gave this one to the Cowboys. And the Saints have good. I mean, Drew Brees, arguably the best QB in the league. I'd give him number 2 or 3, maybe behind Peyton, but he's an elite QB. He might be a future Hall of Famer. It's debatable, but he has Jimmy Graham, the best tight end in the league right now. Gronk's injuries. Hernandez is in jail right now. He's out of the league because he's not on a team. So there's really no competition unless you say Tony Gonzalez and like Jason Witten. But who's going to do the best next year? It's going to be Jimmy Graham. So I'm going to give it to the Cowboys, bringing them to Week 11 bye, making them 6-4, and they're looks like they could be on track for a playoff. See how the rest of the season plays out, shall we? Week 12 at the Giants. I'm gonna give this one a loss. I think the Giants are gonna bounce back from that Week 1 loss, and they're gonna come out and win this game. I think it's gonna be a good one though. Giants don't really like to stomp on the Cowboys. Well, they would like to, but it just doesn't happen. I don't know if you remember, because you're probably a Cowboys fan. If you think back, to last year when Dez Bryant's finger was out, that would have pretty much ended the game, and that was a good game to watch. So, but it just shows you how these tight games are, and but I'm gonna give it to the Giants here. Week 13, the Raiders. I'm gonna give a win here. I just don't like the Raiders. I think they're still a rebuilding team, even though they helped out their secondary, signing Charles Woodson, the veteran who was drafted by the Raiders, and drafting DJ Hayden, 12th overall from that trade from the Dolphins. They traded up to get, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just drew a blank. Oh my gosh. But they got the, oh my god, pass rusher out of Oregon. He is Deion Jordan, it is, out of Oregon. He's an outside linebacker and a 3-4 pass rusher, defensive end in the 4-3, so they traded up, but the Raiders really like DJ Hayden. He almost like died on the practice field, I think, something like that, but he's all better now, and they really liked him. They said they were prepared to take him at 3 if they couldn't get a trade down, but, I mean, I like Hayden. I think he's going to have a good career. But I just don't think it's going to be enough to stop the Cowboys, giving them the win, making them 7-5. Week 14, they're at the Bears. On Monday night, I'm going to give the win here to the Cowboys. Jake Cutler, he throws a lot of picks, and I think that he can easily do that again this year, or in this game, maybe 2, maybe even 3, but definitely probably 1. I remember that one game last year for the Bears when he threw like 5. I don't know who it was against, but I remember that one. Even though like 2 or 3 of them weren't his fault. And they're going to have to try to stop Brandon Marshall. Marshall's a very good receiver. He's one of the best in the league. And they're going to have trouble with him. But still, it's going to be tough for them. I just don't think the Bears are going to beat this Cowboys team, making them 8-5. Week 15, they're playing the Packers. I'm going to give this one a loss. I think Aaron Rodgers is just too dynamic for the Cowboys defense to handle. Also, they got a good new running game with Jonathan Franklin and Eddie Lacy, 2 new drafted running backs, and they still have Alex Green, who is taking first team reps and OTAs. So I mean, it's all up in the air. But they have good running backs, good receivers as always. Rodgers likes to spread the ball around. I mean, if you get a receiver out there, he'll throw it to you. So that's why I'm a big fan of Rodgers. Not to mention their defense with Clay Matthews and all them. So Week 16 at the Redskins. I'm gonna give this one a win. I gave it to the Redskins Week 1, but I think Romo can get this win done. Even though if they can just control RG3, I think the Cowboys can win it. So 9-6, and pretty much as a winner get in here. Week 17, and I'm gonna give it against the Eagles, but I can't give it to them here. I just don't think Romo's gonna be enough to come up in the clutch and win this game. I think the Eagles do. I think this could be the spoiler for them to ruin the Cowboys season, and I think that could easily happen. So, final record for the Cowboys, 9-7. So that's going to do it for this schedule rundown. I'll be coming up next doing the Arizona Cardinals. And if you're a Bills fan, that will be coming up soon. And please check out mine and Brendan Harrington's blog, realbillsnow.blogspot.com. Check that out. We're just starting it up. We also do a podcast, Bills Podcast Weekly, every Wednesday. So also follow me on Twitter at Dave Crest Sports. So for now, I'll see you later. Thank you.